athletes in the world who compete in strength sports. That is strongman, CrossFit. Well, we haven't had a CrossFit guest yet. That'd be a little bit weird after all the shit talk we've been doing. But anyways, we are open to that. If there's a CrossFitter out there who wants to be on our show. Wait, no, yep. Former CrossFitter, so technically that counts. Olympic lifter, strongman, and now soon to be bodybuilding, which is really cool. Mass wrestling, grip sport, and everything in between. And today we have on the show the amazing, the one, the only fierce redhead, Paige Allert. I'm going to say Alert, even though I know that's wrong, because I feel like January is a new page of your story, new chapters to be written in the book of your life. And you need to be alert to what's going to happen this year, right? Go. Alert, there you go. But that's not actually how you say it, you guys. Here, you say it just because I feel like you're still going to say it better than me.
It's Allert.
See, it's so close, though. So, guys,
so
apparently,
close. It's subtle.
It's subtle. It's so subtle. Apparently, she's German. Germans aren't subtle at all. So your last name is unique. You're the only person with that last name. I have that same problem. So it's really unfortunate because like that means anything I've ever done wrong, I cannot blame anyone else. I can't be like, oh, that was like James Smith. No, that was me. You know what I mean? So like 10 years ago, people be rolling up in my DMs like, hey, remember when you used to do this crazy shit back then? I'm like, do not remind me. That is the 2012 Stephanie. All right. That was a long time ago. But yeah,
you're outed.
I'm outed for life. Yep. You know, there's a lot of pressure. So I was like, should I make an online presence and brand? I don't know. So fuck that up. I cannot run away from that, you know? But anyways, own your.
So I don't use my last name even, right? You know my socials.
Oh.
Which it's fine if people know it, but it just felt because it was so unique. Yeah. I thought maybe I just will use something more generic, and that's what I've done. So.
Okay. Well, I understand. So she's also a spy. It makes sense with her training, people. She's a redhead ninja, aka a former CrossFitter, current 58 kg Olympic weightlifter, holistic nutrition coach. That means she'd be waving that tumbleweed in your face and some honeydew and approaching you with that chamomile at night to make you sleep. But she knows her nutrition. She's a coach, and she's currently training for the 2022 Nationals. She's a content creator. She has her services online, digital, everything in terms of learning how to cook healthy, eat healthy, love your body, and train for strength. So welcome to our show, Paige.
Thank you.
Great to have you here today.
Thanks.
She's so beautiful, you guys. I'm just saying, and I think she's single. I don't really know. Are you single? Oh, I'm a single lady.
Yeah, but I basically date the barbell because it takes so much time. But yeah.
Plus, the barbell never cheats on you. He never complains when you tell him to put away his dishes.
It's so loyal, and you know that when you put the weight on the bar, it's always the same. And
match effort. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I felt. I think that's why I fell in love with strength training, like barbells, because I never did barbells in my youth. I always just did like dumbbells, all that good stuff. But I think I fell in love with it because everything in life is crazy and unpredictable, right? And I feel like, you know, you can work really hard in your career or your business. You don't know what's going to happen. I feel like it gives you a great sense of control and structure and peace because, like you said, if you put in the effort and you have proper technique, you're going to see results, period. So, you know, it's the only thing that you can really master: consistency and security. That's my opinion, but you know, that's why barbells are awesome. So we're actually going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about mastering the basics of barbells training, which is something powerlifters and strongman athletes that are just starting the sport really struggle with, because a lot of times, you know, they're self-taught. They're training from home, or they're training in a regular gym by themselves or in a strongman or lifting gym. But, you know, maybe they're too shy to really ask for help, or sometimes it does exist, not a lot nowadays, but, you know, the gym maybe has those kinds of services or coaches available locally, and they're trying to work with a coach online and they're struggling with their technique. So anyways, we're going to talk about how to master that, as well as nutrition, developing a healthy, maintainable New Year plan in terms of fitness, strength training, and nutrition, like healthy habits. No more dieting, okay? This is not 2009, all right? We are not trying to be skinny like Paris Hilton. That's not goals anymore. Remember how there's that skinny bitch wine? I was thinking about that the other day, as I was drinking some Chardonnay. And I never drink Chardonnay. So I was like, I'm gonna have me some damn Chardonnay this year.
That's what it was called?
Yeah, it's actually called Skinny Bitch. And then my friend,
I do remember that. Because it had the nutrition facts on it, right?
Yeah. I think it was on Dragon's Den or something. And I had a friend who was like definitely like a vegan. We're both vegan at the time, but she wasn't into strength training. I was like really just a dancer who kind of did strength training on the side, but she was really into like yoga. We're into a lot of the same things, but she had a severe eating disorder. So she was like hyper obsessed with that. And that girl wrote a book too, like How to Be a Skinny Bitch, but it was really awful. It made her like really mean and nasty and super focused on that. And she was miserable. That's all I gotta say. It's like, do not try to be a skinny bitch. It ain't happy or healthy for you. You will not be happy. I mean, maybe you will. There's some girls that are. I mean, if you want to go for bodybuilding, yes. But, I don't know. I think it can create toxic habits. So, like I said, we'll talk about that.
It's hard when that's the main focus.
Like, that's what I'm saying. It should be part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find a lot of people when they sign up for nutrition coaching, that might be the main focus in the beginning, but then it usually isn't in the end, and they've forgotten about it, but in a really good way, because they're like, I don't really care about the aesthetics as much now. So it's a cool transformation to see. Yeah,
because I mean, the thing is, like I said, if you're training for bodybuilding, you're never going to maintain that level of fat percentage as a woman. I shouldn't say never, because there's body types, but I'm saying generalizing. Is it really worth the stress? And that's what I'm trying to say. With all the things going on in this world and everything going on in your personal life, I think that there's a higher vision and goal to strive for. Like I said, if you want to train for a bodybuilding competition, great, but you can still be super fit and healthy and do other strength sports and other sports in general without having to be so aesthetic focused. Like I said, if that's your goal for bodybuilding, cool, awesome. I support that. But like you said, that's not the only way to get there. You don't have to be like, I need to lose 5 pounds a week. Like, oh my God. Every time those commercials come on at this time of year, I'm like, because obviously it doesn't work. If it worked, you wouldn't need to still keep offering those services, just saying, right? It's a vicious circle. Science is in, it's not healthy for people's metabolism, their resting metabolism. We'll talk about fat and where it sits after this, but anyways, don't get me started. So new page, chapter of life. Let's go to the very beginning, because this experience, professional and personal, that you have that's made you this amazing coach that you are, didn't just come out of nowhere. So let's go back to the very beginning. What got you into CrossFit, and how did that journey lead you into Olympic weightlifting?
Good question. I'm trying to remember what got me into CrossFit. It was just, hey, come try this class at my local CrossFit gym. And they had every Saturday free classes. And so I started going just to like the free classes on Saturdays. And then that led into signing up. I saved up some money because CrossFit, it's a little bit more of a luxury.
Yes.
So I waited a few months, I saved up, and then I started going, and I fell in love with it, and I went often, 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
And in addition to doing the CrossFit classes, I was also doing these Olympic weightlifting classes at the university I was attending. And that was like so much fun. It was all just technique, super basic. So I was just doing literally a dowel and a barbell for like 2 months at the university. And then in addition, going to CrossFit. And so I started to do the CrossFit for a while, and then I started to realize that I really liked the barbell and I was not enjoying the CrossFit as much. No shade to CrossFit, but my lungs just struggle with cardio. And so I was like, this isn't for me. And I don't know if you've done CrossFit, but what they do is they post the workout of the day every day.
Yeah.
Online. And so I started to look at the week in advance and fish out just like the barbell classes, and I'd skip all the other CrossFit classes and only go to the ones with the actual just like lifting.
Yeah.
And so then after doing that for about 5 months, my coach at the time just was like, just come lift with us at 5:30 in the morning. We're just lifting. I was like, okay. And then so I started CrossFit in the summer of 2017, and then did that. And then I started just lifting in January 2018. And so just made the full switch, didn't look back. And then I just did full Oli programming and fell in love, hooked forever.
Okay, now I'm a good real. Okay, so like at that key point in time, you could have went into powerlifting or strongman. So what, like Olympic weightlifting is highly technical. There's so many different lifts to master. It's crazy. Like when you see Olympic lifters doing an overhead press, right, with barbell, and it's just as mighty as a strongman log. Like it blows my mind. Like some of these, young guys, and they're like 400 pounds over their head, and I'm like, that'd be like lifting me and my son together over your head. And
no,
like,
my mind doesn't.
It's crazy. I can't get it. I can't. Strongman, I can understand. Olympic lifting is a weird mystical creature to me. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's so precise. It's so precise. It's so technical.
I love watching the slow motion videos when they're like the highlights after competition, and they're like, "Ooh,"
oh yeah,
like, oh, amazing! You were like falling.
It's so exciting. Yeah, I love it.
So, what made you, like I said, not go those paths, which is a lot more common? Let's be honest, right? Not many people go into Olympic lifting. I shouldn't say it because I don't know the stats and I don't know a lot of Olympic lifters, right? I know mostly strongman and power lifters and heavy game athletes, but it's a very conscious choice, right? To commit to that level of precision. So what was it that made you do that?
If you talk to any weightlifter, they'll tell you that there's just something when you do your first snatch and it is technically sound, it feels magical. It's just this feeling, and I felt so connected to it. So that's what got me started. But what kept me going consistently was just how fun it is to chase PRs and keep proving yourself wrong, keep proving that voice in your head that says that you can't do it, you prove yourself wrong by showing up every day and doing it regardless. And I mean, I always say it's been the biggest catalyst to my personal development. That like weightlifting itself has caused me to just completely elevate my mindset, my life, because it's caused a ripple effect in how I treat myself and how I show up every day. And just all of those things combined, it's passion, it's growth, it's all of that. So that's what keeps me going still to this day.
That got me speechless right now.
Yeah,
hit me right here.
Yeah, I love it. It's so much fun.
So now we're gonna get real deep. You tugged on those heartstrings. So I understand that you once battled with an eating disorder, or just at least dieting, right? In that disordered eating. I shouldn't say eating disorder, but just because everyone I think has disordered eating habits to a certain extent. And that became your motivation. I think became a nutrition coach. So tell us about that journey. And like I said, I think that plays into you being an Olympic lifter, is that precision, because like disordered eating can be a kind of a chase for control and a chase for precision, right? And chase for that security. But I think it's an unhealthy, it's a form, it can become an addiction, right? And so I'm not saying you were, but I'm just saying, like, obviously, what was inside you wasn't bad. Like that motivation, that need, that want for that was good. You just had to put into the right thing, right? So you know what I mean? Like into the Olympic lifting. So like, was that your motivation, like, to become a nutrition coach for like people, like I said, just being each day on the show? And tell us about like your journey into that, becoming a nutrition coach from there and getting through that, because like I would say I was mostly recovered last year. Now I can confidently say I was like, no, I'm not starting the general. I'm going to drink my supplements, eat my protein shakes, eat healthy, meal prep, but I'm not going to shame myself for that little quarter piece of brownie when my mom comes over once or 4 months. Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, if I gain a pound, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've gone to that age of like, it's not letting myself go. Like, I still take my health and my body seriously. I'm an endomorph. So if I don't do that cardio and I don't do that lifting, I can eat, carrots all day and I'll just look like a melted candle. I'll just lose muscle mass and I'll still like probably way the same, just like more jiggly, like, flubber jello body or something. But anyways, right now, just panda. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Loaded question with a loaded answer, I feel.
Oh, I know. Load me up.
That is part of what got me into nutrition. But the weird thing is that I always knew since I was mid teenager, whatever that means, maybe 15, 16, that I loved nutrition and I wanted to do it. And I didn't know in what capacity, but I knew I wanted to make that happen one day. But I also really liked psychology, and I also was really interested in mental health. So I wouldn't say I actually had an eating disorder, but I really struggled with what you could call disordered eating, which is funny that you have to label it. But
I know, that's what I was like, I don't want to label this,
but that's okay. And I think so many people struggle with disordered eating because we, like, as a culture, we look at food very disordered. It's so weird how we view food. And so it took a lot of work for me to basically reinvent or view food in more of a healthy way. And weightlifting was a huge part in me relearning how to view food in a good way, in a way that was like teaching me that it's fuel and that I don't need to fear carbs and that sort of thing. And so with weightlifting or any strength sports, you have to eat. Like, you have to eat a lot and you have to eat carbs. And so I hired a nutrition coach myself. And then just her encouragement to be like, actually, like, this is what food does for you. This is the benefit of it. Just that reinforcement and working with her for 3 years, I think maybe 4, was so transformational in my own relationship to food, and also kind of lit that fire under my ass to like go do what she does, if that makes sense. So like be a nutrition coach just like her. So I mean, over the span of years, it was like I almost had to go through my own journey of having a very negative relationship to food, to eating, to my body, and then hiring a nutrition coach because of that, into like the stars just aligned to make it all to where I am now, right? Like, it sounds so cheesy, but it's so
meant to be. I mean, like, I was making stupid videos like before there was a such thing as a TikTok or Vine. When I was a kid, when I was 8 years old in my basement, because we got for Christmas one year like a VCR with like a little camera. So I started making videos. So this is like, and I started making playing with the computer and trying to make art on paint, like graphic design, basically.
Paint.
Right, I was sewing things in my mom's basement when I was like 7. So everything I'm doing now, I basically like was doing as a kid. So it's like same thing with here. Like for you, it's like I feel like this is full circle for me where I am now, personally and professionally. But go back to some little key points that you were mentioning there, and then I want to touch something else behind that. But it's like, like you said, the way that we view food is so toxic, and people always say, well, your results speak. But the thing is, how really are you asking? Like, because when people judge people in the gym, I'm not saying it happens all the time. I'm just like, once again, let's just play with the stereotype for a second here. It's like, do you know what their blood work is? Do you know where their fat deposits are? Do you know a sumo wrestler is a crazy fit? Like, that's why I say on our website how fit pandas are, because people don't know. Pandas aren't just fat. Pandas are fit as hell. Even though they're rolling down hills, they have crazy superpowers. And the moment the sumos stop actively engaging in training, which I think they train, was 7 hours a day. Anyways, it's gonna be wrong, but something around that. The moment they stop doing that, the fat goes from the outside of their body into the internal organs. Even if their diet has changed, and they eat a healthy diet, just they eat so much, right? Because you need to have mass moves mass. But my point is like they immediately start getting metabolic failure, just like someone who's skinny as a triathlete. So we need to stop looking at the external looks and focus on what is their blood work, where's their health at, mental, emotional, physical, and their ability to complete the tasks that they want to do every day in their life, right? Like if I couldn't play with my kids and I'm having a tough time getting off the ground, then I need to be concerned about my hip flexors and my hips and my, core strength, my pelvic floor strength. and not about if I'm a size 2. You know what I mean? So it's like your goal should be around your ability to live life. Like I said, train for longevity, even if it's not a sport, but just to be around for yourself and the people you love to accomplish your dreams and do things you want to do. So it's like, and I say this because it's true. Westernized culture is so toxic in that way, because we now see in third world countries women and people dying from skin bleaching. We see them dying because they're having people are flying to these third world countries, you know, moms dying. They've left their 4-year-old behind because they're having, you know, the BBL, you know what I'm talking about, Brazilian butt lift. Yeah, BBL. Right. And that's super dangerous.
Right.
But that's because the Instagram is like, you know, obviously influenced, the Kim Kardashian type thing has influenced those body types. So other countries, these women are obviously fit because they're like, everything is done in the raw, right? They don't have dishwashers. They don't have washers and dryers. They have to gather. They're all entrepreneurial. They're all, you know, hustling every day just to survive. And, you know, most of their health problems that we're starting to see in third world countries is from fast food. Even though these women were never six-pack, super muscle. I'm not against that, because I'm obviously a strength athlete and I want to be heavy and I want to be strong. But I'm just saying is like, we have to understand that it's really easy to get into this bubble, this social media in our head of images that we see online, and then people just around us in our day-to-day life. Like, I'm a country kid. Nobody cared about that in the country when I grew up. So obviously coming to the city, I started getting bullied as a kid, because all of a sudden they're like, you're a fat kid. I'm like, what? Because when I was a kid in the country, we were active all the time. We're always like doing, riding horses, like we're on our bike, we're swimming. So I was always fit. And I never cared about what I ate. And that's when I started developing eating disorder, like I said, strong, because that was around me. So my point is like, if you took that out of the equation and you just stopped thinking about that and you just lived life and ate healthy and exercised, your health would be good. Your physical health, your metabolism would be healthy. Your mind would be healthy. So like, we need to stop thinking from a westernized perspective.
But that's
start
the thing.
Studying beauty and culture standards in other places. Feel like I said that because they're bigger. I'm like, no, I'm not saying that. I have been a size 6 and I've been a size 22 and I've been everything in between. And I'm telling you that when you hang around people from other cultures, they're not like that. They don't care. You know what I mean? They're not counting calories, right? They're sitting there with enchiladas chilling. You know what I mean?
We're very, as a culture, very fixated on what the body looks like. And it's like, we even put what the appearance over the health. And we also have this issue of thinking that thin is healthy and heavy is not. And that is not true. So
I know we're making a lot
very
of
fixated
right now.
What?
I can feel all the triggering happening. For all the men listening, just like, what? I feel the comments in the outer space of time. Continue. But it's the truth. It's the truth people need to get through your head, because like when I had my kids, I don't want to talk about it because I talked about many episodes before. Like they kept trying to prove my baby was diabetic because he was born 10 pounds. No, he's wearing 4-year-old clothes now. He's super healthy and fit, breaking all my shit all the time. He's super healthy. And because I was pregnant, I was almost 400 pounds when I was pregnant. I've lost 90 pounds since having my baby in a year. Yay me. And that's just from being me. Woo!
And that's the thing is like,
well, my point is I'm still super healthy. I'm 100 pounds lighter. I'm the same health that I was. Other than just physically, I can move better because I've recovered from a C-section. But like they kept doing my blood work. They're like, she's got to be diabetic. There's got to be high cholesterol, and it made them mad. It made them mad that my blood work kept coming back okay. And I'm like,
interesting. It's very interesting how we view the body. And like last year, I was going through a really rough breakup. It was so bad. I couldn't eat. And I lost a lot of weight. And people would say that I was so jacked and looked great, but it's like, you have no idea what's going on or why I look like this right now. This is so unhealthy. So unhealthy. Right. But from the outside, people are like, that's the goal. Why is that the goal? Why? And so I don't want to classify women. I've worked with men who also have this framework as well. But a lot of it is like reframing that all bodies can be healthy. And also like for me personally, shifting from fixating on aesthetics to functionality, which is a lot of what you're saying. Like functionality of our body and like, how can we move? And that's empowering, completely changed it for me. And it was like, I got pulled out of this negative spiral of thinking about eating in the body that way to being like, holy. And then you look back and you're like, that was bad how I was looking at it. Right. So
I should do it. I really should. I'll post them up on the screen right now. And like I said, if you guys ever listen to the show, I highly recommend watching the show on YouTube because it's so much funnier because I'm the GIF queen and I make a lot of GIF jokes that's why if I'm giggling, I'm thinking of a image that's going to go across the screen. But anyways, you guys need to listen in and watch it because you get the full experience. But like when I show people pictures of myself 20 years ago, my face hasn't aged. My skin is flawless.
Yeah.
The only thing that's changed is because I've had kids. I have a lot of loose skin. I've lost, like, you know, you fluctuate when you have kids. So it's like, oopsie. But anyways, my point is like, if you look at when I was dieting, I always, like, I've never once showed because it's like the worst picture of me in the planet. But this is when I was like hardcore over exercising, when I was being like a hardcore vegan. And I was getting sickly all the time. I was like getting pneumonia and bronchitis. And I was skinny, like the skinniest I've been. The 2 times that I've been super skinny, like I would say like size 4, size 5, in my 20s, it almost killed me. It's like healthy. And you can see it in my face. Like there's no Photoshop on this. This is my face. Mm-hmm. So I have real, like, you know what I mean? And I'm way healthier now, but it's like, people definitely treated me better and obviously showed more respect and thought I was healthier. And people are always like surprised when they see me do things, dance or strength, is like, oh, you're not just a fat guy or fat girl. Or like, you know, they'll talk about the fitness stuff and be like, well, if you put in the work too, I'm like, mother bitch, you don't know me. I'm a strength athlete.
You're strong. Yeah.
But it's like the only time these nurses or doctors backed off when I was in the hospital was when I would educate them about I showed them pictures on my phone that I'm a strength athlete to like make them believe me. Because they're trying to force glucose checks on me. And I'm like, stop it. I'm not drinking. That's nasty. The last time I did that made me sick as hell. I'm not doing that. Leave me alone. Yeah. I'm like, if you're so concerned, check my blood work. They didn't like that, but they checked it was fine. And then they still, even when baby just was born, they're still trying to do glucose checks on me. I'm like, listen, bitch, read my records. Leave me alone. But no, men struggle with too. And like I said, there's kids dying from, like I've talked about this, just don't go into too much, but you know, dying of taking too many supplements, heart attacks from pre-work, like really serious things are happening. So it's like, I'm a pro fitness and pro strength, but not at the cost of your health, because like, I get the feeling, I get the high, I get the wanting to be super successful, be the best of the best, like your vision, your mission, your goals. I get all that. And I'm for all of that, but I don't agree when you ruin all the relationships with your family and friends. Like people say sacrifice. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm all about sacrifice. I'm all about hustle. But I've had to learn over the years, being an entrepreneur, being someone who's into dance, fitness, and leadership is like the toxic parts of it, right? Like you said, and knowing when to take a step back. Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of like perfectionism, A types, right? It's sometimes a little bit addiction-y. So I didn't mention it yet, but I'm going to mention now, like, Paige is obviously, she's an addictions counselor, which is amazing. So kind of tying the food and addictions into that, I was just wanting to know, with all the stuff I just said, like what your thoughts are on that. And, you know, falling in love with, like you said, the process in your body as it is now and working on that first.
So how does addiction relate to disordered eating? Is that what you mean?
I think a lot of people fall into addictions and have been, and they don't realize it. And I think like how to avoid that, because I think that's why you have the people who fall out of the gym at the end of January, right? Because they've unknowingly added, they think it's SMART goals, and unknowingly, you know, added like toxic habits. I don't know how to like frame it, but they're going a little too hard, too fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think addiction and fitness and eating, all of that, there's definitely overlap with all of it. Like it's tough because I think that we all have, I like to think of addiction as escaping. And I think that we all have our own way of escaping. We all have our own way of trying to get out of what type of pain or despair that we're feeling. And for some people, that's like fixating on food, which is usually an unconscious thing, or fixating on fitness, or fixating even nowadays on Netflix. Do you know what I mean? Yes. So I think that can play into fitness, it can play into eating habits or disordered eating and that sort of thing. I think anyone has the capacity for that to happen. We're all trying to, numb in some way, which is unfortunate. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of dark things that happen in the world every day. And if you're a decent human, there's no way that can affect you, and that's the truth.
Yeah.
So you're going to have up and down days. And sometimes stuff I see on the news or it pops up, I don't go looking for it, right? Social media algorithms is really traumatizing and really upsetting. Like, I'm a mom, so I absolutely love kids. So when I hear about a kid suffering or stuff going on in third world countries, like, I hate it. Like, I'm like, I need to become the president so I can make some changes. But like, that's not going to happen right now, right?
Yeah, so, and it happens everywhere. Like the pain, everything, anywhere you live or whatever. Yeah. And, I've seen people who are exercising like way, way, way too much, over exercising. And stuff like, or not, right? Or removing themselves from any type of healthy activity. And it's like, it's really difficult to find your mental health and align it with your physical health sometimes, basically.
And I have been in all of those categories I just mentioned. So like I said, from the perspective of an addictions counselor, like, we like to talk about 12 steps, but from the perspective of being an addictions counselor, and if you were getting a new client right now and they're listening in and you're talking about nutrition and weight training and a plan, what would be those first steps? If they've told you they have those behavior patterns, like, January, I don't want to do a New Year's resolution. I want to love myself, but I want to add healthy habits. Tell them what you set them up with. If you've got programs or just some tips, like I said, how you'd teach them how to, like, your philosophy, fall in love with the process, embrace the suck, finding something sustainable, managing your energy, and devotion to self-love.
So they're coming to me with saying that they've struggled with addiction? Is that what you meant?
No, not necessarily. Like I said, people don't know that they can be addictive at times, right? So they're demonstrating those behavior patterns or thought patterns, and they're not able to balance, like you said, the difficulty of your mental and your physical health at the same time. They're just wanting to be consistent, right? Yeah. Love themselves, but not settle, right? Because you want to love yourself, but you don't want to not challenge yourself and just be mediocre, right? Yeah. But you don't want to set the bar so damn high that it's, the likelihood of success is really tiny, right? You want to climb that mountain slowly and like a ladder and slowly get up there.
It's funny because you describe that and I'm like, so that's everyone. Everyone struggles to be
everyone listening right now.
But that's a good question. I like it because, I'll give you an example. For myself, when I signed up for coaching for nutrition, I thought, oh, it's going to be, you tell me what to eat, you're going to tell me how much, and I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. And that is a lot of what happens with my clients as well. But then once we get started and we start to uncover, why are you inconsistent? What's getting in the way of the habits? Is it more of like trying to manage your energy? Is it actually you believe that you're unworthy of meeting your goals? Or is it something, it's usually something deeper than people realize. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not counseling my clients because they're signing up for nutrition. That would be unethical. But most people do realize that it's much a deeper process than they ever imagined. And that's why when you come out of nutrition coaching, it's so transformative, because you've just now, sure, we talk about food and we talk about fiber and all of the science of nutrition is in there, and I provide that education, but the heart of coaching is really about figuring out the root of why you aren't meeting your goals and why are you inconsistent. And a lot of the time it is conditioning, it's mindset, it's imposter syndrome, it's not fully believing in yourself, all of those really important things. So we have to approach it from a different angle. We can't just say eat this, and if you don't do it, well, then you're screwed, right? That's like, I'd say, a disadvantage of meal plan programs. I don't do meal plans because that's basically, you write it out, here's your meal plan. Instead, we're going to work on all of like how to fit this into your lifestyle, how to manage your energy better.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true, because food is energy, and it digests in your body in different ways depending on what you eat, how much of it you eat, and what other things you combine with it, right? Like just a lean piece of meat versus a lean piece of fat inside of, or meat inside of fat, or fatty meat and a fatty carb starch, right? Like it affects how you feel, and that's what it should be about, right? It's like you said, match energy. And I think I've done all those things in my strength career, like doing just straight up carnivore and mad headaches. And then yeah, girl, keto, yeah, well, just leave it there. Been there, done that. But
yeah.
Nothing but shakes, but, I know for me physically that, I may be leaner on a high meat, a high meat, high fat diet, but then I feel like shit. Like I need the carbs. Yeah. So like, that's me, if I'm not lifting. But
yeah,
I need to, like, my body, like I said, everyone's different. I have to match that physical output with the nutrition input. If I don't put that nutrition in there, I won't be able to do the physical output. And also the nutrition won't like digest and feel well in me if I don't do the physical. So it's a combo, right? Like I don't believe in that expression, and I never will, that abs are made in the kitchen. I think that's bullshit. That's my humble opinion. I think that body is meant to be in movement, in different types of movements throughout the day, not one thing at extreme. And I think that's problem people have with CrossFit. I'm not hitting on CrossFit, but I just think anything extreme can be problematic, right? You eat too much vitamin C, you might kill yourself. I mean, it's true though. Like, there's a balance in life. The reason why I mentioned addiction thing is because it's triggers. And a lot of times, like, you're talking about a mom who's in a really shitty marriage, and her husband makes her feel unworthy or crappy, or they start to fight more. The more she's working out, the more she's eating healthy. He complains about the food. He doesn't want to eat it. Just like little things like that makes a huge difference. If he starts complaining about the food, but like there's things that people are dealing with where people will shame them, or like say they're starting their morning food, and people are like, oh, that's irresponsible. You should look at the times, you should spend less. And so there's just like all these exterior factors that affect the mindset, like what you're saying.
Totally.
So, you know what I mean? So, someone's super motivated and they're doing the right things. There's negativity around them. And, if you're escaping narcissism, or you're literally leveling up to the point where you're outgrowing your family and your friends and your neighborhood, which is true. Like I've done that for myself. The more you push into forward and positivity, the more pushback you get.
Yeah.
And it's really hard not to be like, oh, like you said, imposter syndrome, or maybe this is dumb. And that can be a trigger. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, here's a piece of cake. Right. So it's, there has to be that, cognitive connection of that, and being like, no matter the shit people put around me, I need to just keep doing what's right for me. Like self-love, me first, because I can't be a healthy whoever, parent, wife, friend, daughter, if I'm not son, whatever. I can't take care of other people or my work if I'm not taking care of myself. Full stop.
Yeah. And I actually like that you bring up triggers. Sorry. It's all good. I like that you bring up triggers, because that's where I actually find mindset work quite limiting, because a lot of the time, like, mindset will be mind over matter, but a trigger is so deeply rooted. And you're right. Like a trigger usually will cause a behavior, right? So that's with addiction, right? We have unresolved traumas inside, and then we get a trigger and we use drugs. Or like in your example, we have this trigger and we binge out on food.
Yeah.
Right. And it's important to address those triggers most of the time. And I have this very unpopular opinion, actually, about this. And I love it or hate it. Yeah. But a lot of people nowadays are saying, weighing yourself is toxic, or looking at transformation photos is toxic. Or even I've seen recently full day of eating videos. Have you seen those? Like where someone shows what they're eating. Those are all toxic. And here's my thought on that is it's our relationship to those things. If you're someone who struggles with seeing your weight on the scale every single day, Sure, throw it out for a bit. That's totally fine. I have clients who won't weigh themselves, and that's okay. However, a trigger is teaching you something that you need to tend to.
Yes,
And
girl.
so if we're throwing
Mm.
out the scale, and if we're
Yep.
throwing out or like putting blinders on to not look at certain things, it's a band-aid approach. We're not
Yeah.
actually working on it. Inside, you can learn to be okay with the number on the scale when you work on why that's a trigger for you. So maybe
Yeah.
it's a trigger because standing on the scale and seeing a number, you've attached a meaning to a specific number, and that meaning means you're unworthy,
No,
right?
it's true though. Yeah.
So
Girl.
I will say though, caveat to this is I know that is a massive task, and
Oh,
it's huge, right? And it's
yep.
easier said than done, but I more so like to approach it as an invitation to let's work on the deeper things. And that might not be with me, right? Those are really deep things that a lot of people will have to go to a psychologist for. But
Yeah.
because nutrition coach isn't a therapist, but I think it's just a reminder that, like, why am I triggered about that? What does that mean? It's an invitation to dig a little bit deeper as to why that's an issue, because the issue, aka the scale, isn't actually
Yeah.
the issue here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
No, I know that, girl. I know what you're like. I know what you're getting at. So what I want to add to what you're saying is,
yeah,
like, for example, when I just did my last strongman competition, I was proud as fuck weighing in at 309. I was proud as fuck because I know what I had to physically, mentally, emotionally overcome to get to that point. And I am so damn proud of me. Boop, boop, boop.
Yay.
Yeah, woo! But the girl who weighed me, she's a bodybuilder, and I'm like not judging her, but vibes speak, and like I guess I worded the wrong way because I'm like never sleeping your mom. So, but what I was trying to say to her was like she wasn't in cutting phase, and so she looked heavier, like healthy, like a normal. And I thought she looked better that way, basically. It's like that's not my place to say, but I basically was like, wow, you look really different. I didn't recognize you, and that's the truth. I was like, you look like extraordinarily different. And also she just, not wearing makeup versus wearing makeup with women can make a huge difference.
Stage lean is like completely
that's what I'm trying to say. And I hadn't seen her in 2 years. Like I said, I'm not judging her, but I was like, you look like amazing, but like I won't forget the way she, like, I'm not trying to read into it, but you're not supposed to be happy 300 pounds, right? You should go for yourself. I mean, if you look at old movies in the 2000s, right? Like I'm not making
bias. Yeah.
So it's like, how dare you be fucking happy that way? And I'm like, motherfucking am. She's like, what size shirt? I'm like, I don't know. We'll try this and see if that works. But that used to be a big thing for me, not wearing a t-shirt, like being triggered by that. I mean, no one looks like, especially me. I've never even seen look, and t-shirts don't. I'm curvy. I got big back. Like, crop top, yes. Certain t-shirt cuts, but just plain t-shirt cut don't help nobody most of the time. But anyways, these are things that would fuck me up, and I would probably lose and not be able to compete at all. Like they would destroy me emotionally. And even if they're triggery, I'm so conscious of these things now that I can, like, put my brain into a more positive mindset. And like, even if I'm emotionally triggered for like a little bit and a little bit upset, it's like 10 minutes, not a whole day, not a whole week, not a whole. So it's like,
but you're human. That just shows you're human. Yeah.
Because bias in anyone is just going to hurt, right? It's like racism or anything else. It's, it's going to feel shitty, but it's like, it shouldn't destroy you. So it's like, I also want to say removing shame of going through that journey and those emotions, and being okay with having good and bad days, and being okay with, like I said, kind of falling off the bandwagon a bit, and stop trying to seek perfectionism or pretend you're perfect. Like I would hate posting videos, even as skinny, of carbs, because like, I had gymnast friends that would come over when I was a full-time fitness and dance instructor in my 20s. I'd be like, well, if you stopped eating that carb, and they didn't know if that was like the first time I was having that all week or all that day. But like I said, it's like, first of all, as a culture, we need to stop saying shit like that. And I see that on like Facebook groups all the time. It's like, what are your advice? This is what to eat. What do you think? Is this fatty? This should be discussed about myself. Look, I've only 12. Stop talking about yourself like that. Stop talking about other people like that. Like I said, if people are going for aesthetic, great. But like, this shouldn't be a cultural okay to do that. And like I said, unless you're someone's coach or you know them personally and their habits, there shouldn't be that judgment. So I think it's like, it's going to happen. no matter what, because people are people. But you shouldn't allow. I know it's cheesy and everyone knows this, but it's like, yeah, don't let the opinions of people upset yourself. Your standard of your life and what makes you happy should be your standard. You got to sleep at night. You got to be okay with the choices you make. Now, if I know that I am eating really unhealthy and it's causing diabetes, and that it may take me away from my children sooner than I'd want, well, that for sure is something I'm not okay with, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the case. So I'm okay. You know what I mean? I also know I have family who are super skinny and fit, and I have family who are obese and, are diabetic. So I've been around all the extremes, like I said, and personally, I'm okay where I'm at. And I think that's where, people need to try to get is be okay with where you're at, strive for more, but let go of perfectionism. Don't beat yourself up. If you're going for bodybuilding, fine. Count calories, weigh yourself all the time, like what you're saying. But don't avoid, because then, like you said, you're not dealing with the problems. And it's just going to haunt you. It's like dead weight on your foot, right? It's just going to haunt you. And then you're not going to make the progress you could have made because you still, like you said, haven't really dealt with it. So sometimes you need to journal it. Sometimes you need to say things to the people who've hurt you and let them know how that impacted you, cut off relationships, right? Like, and say, like I've had to say to people in my family, listen, you mentioned my way to talk about that. You're not going to see me. You're not going to see my son, because that's just disrespectful and shit. So,
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously I know that problem lies with them, but my point is like, no, you can't cut off everybody. But like I said, standards, like standards, set the standards. And
yeah, it's hard when you're going basically against the grain of our society. Yeah. And I hope that's changing. I hope it's slowly changing. And I think it is. We're making great strides with like diet culture, basically, and biases with bodies, but we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, we do. That's for sure. But I think there's more to life than looking a certain way. And if that's how you make your money and that's what you want your life to be about, like I said, power to you, boo, but the sun doesn't like set and shine with that. And as someone who's like, I was born with scoliosis, and I'm in I've chronic physical pain. Like I won't talk about it because I talked about a lot on the show already before, but last year, but it's like, that's always affected my fitness level and my physical ability. And that's why I've learned to just like be preventative, and so focus on long-term health, overall body composition in terms of flexibility, strength, just being balanced.
Yeah. Being
at peace and being balanced instead of being strongest mother effer in the world. Great. If that happens from me doing strength training, awesome. Super, super lean. Great. If that happens, awesome. Like I said, but it's not, I'm not going to let it just like I said, sunset shine, destroy me and my self-esteem. So nothing should ever, none of your goals, New Year's resolutions, or things you're going for in your life, in my opinion, should be that close to your self-esteem. Because then is it really a good New Year's resolution? You know what I mean?
Right.
Kind of like playing fire. I don't know how to put words on what I'm trying to say, but.
Well, I think it's hard to say though, because achieving goals will make us feel good. I think it's when we intertwine our self-worth in achieving those goals.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. That's okay. That's the problem. Yeah.
There you go. Because there's people who've accomplished like so much in life and they're super miserable and they hate themselves. So you can accomplish goals forever and still not be okay with you. So you need to be okay with you and find out how to get there. Most of the time, people aren't okay with them because of childhood trauma or regrets, things they didn't do, wish they did, or want to do. And like I said, it's never too late. It's never too late to get your shit straight and move forward in life. Just got to make peace with this. So I'm saying about New Year, it's just like last year was last year. Yesterday was yesterday. Just try to move forward. Just try to become a better version of you. And it's not going to, there's so many capacities of you. So don't try to be amazeballs in all the capacities in one day. It's like the people who I think that's why a lot of folks struggle with depression. Because like I said, they're, they do the vision boards and the journals. I used to do all that stuff. Sign up for a bunch of courses, and then I wouldn't go to them and I fail, and I feel really shitty. So then I'd go really into a deep, dark depression for a long time, crawl out of it and be like, I'm gonna do all this good stuff, and then boom, back down again. And so now I've just been trying to, since having kids, just be like this, like a pulse.
Yeah. New Year's is I think it's about your intentions of your goals too, because it's am I going to achieve these goals because I don't like who I am and I need to change it and it's coming from scarcity, Or is it like, I love who I am now and I see this for the betterment of my vision? And there's a big difference in those.
Yeah.
And that's how I used to approach it. Like, oh, it's New Year's, I need to lose 10-15 pounds for X reason, which was complete bullshit. And it was because I was coming from a place of lacking. It was because I didn't think I was good enough. And what do? I need to fit in. I need to do this. Now, because I've done internal work and I've found a passion, and it's like, we're okay the way we are now. And we first need to realize that and approach ourselves with love in the pursuit of our goals. Because then we're coming from a place of self-love, and we're doing it because we love ourselves, not because we hate ourselves and need to change ourselves,
Yeah, what I see in you in your eyes, which I think is really, really beautiful. And I think it's important to be close to pain, is like, and be childlike, going back to what you're saying earlier, how like what we're doing now is really closely in line with what we were doing when we were kids. And I think, everyone's given gifts, and everyone's given things that they're, naturally gravitate to or better at, and go back to that, like find those little moments of peace, like whether it's a side hobby, maybe you need to spend, 10 hours in the gym instead of 15, and then 3 hours a week, you're doing some scrapbooking, right? So it's like, it's healing is so important, because you can forgive, you can take all the courses, but you still need to heal. Like trauma is a legitimate thing, and you need to heal, and your pain, your body holds on to that pain. And there's a lot of research, especially for women in our hips and our fat deposits and our pelvic floor. A lot of women have pelvic floor dysfunction and things like, IBS. And I know I'm overgeneralizing, so I'm not a doctor. I feel like I need to insert some YouTube like here. But what I'm saying is, like, there is some research on that of where your body holds on to the pain. And for women, a lot of times that will show up, like I said, with reproductive issues, lower back issues, and that kind of thing. For men, right, heart attacks and chest issues, you say stress, but your body holds on to trauma like almost like permanent stress.
It's so true.
Yeah.
That's why you go to a yoga class, they tell you if you do a lot in the hips in yoga, you can get really emotional, because there's so much emotion in there.
I have cried many times, because I used to teach yoga. So I've cried many times in movements and classes, and just, it's, you cry. Men, women listening, cry. It's not weak. And, like, feel what you need to feel, breathe. Sometimes you just need to lie down, listen to some like relaxing, hypnotic, chi music. I can't think of the word right now, but like, there's sciences behind that in the bowls, right? So it's like, it's not less manly. It'll help you in your strength, because if you think you can shove that shit down, but it's going to hold you back. For me with my sister, it's a blessing in disguise. I'll briefly talk about her. As my older sister, we're not super close, but she had fallen down her stairs in her house. And this is because my sister's super successful, but she had been running from her pain as a kid for a long time. She used to hate me because I was always talking about it and trying to get into my pain or her pain and try to help her heal. But I used to say to her, I'm like, you can run, but you can't hide. And I know it sounds assholey, but she fell down the stairs and she couldn't work. Her back was fucked up. She couldn't work. And she'd been running her whole life since she was 16. 20 years of running is a long time. And it's really scary to be with your lowest emotions when you've always been on a device and a tablet. Because I went to her house for Christmas. That's the kind of talking. Her kids in her house, and like, they're all on devices in the living room. None of them are talking. I'm like, you think it's really weird. Like, that's not normal. And you guys are obviously all escaping right now. And that's why you're disconnected. Your family's having issues. That's why you're all having individual issues, because you're not talking, you're not feeling. Like, anger, it's a healthy emotion, but it's so toxic, right? Like, there's the research on which emotions affect which organs and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so like I said, she finally went to counseling. Now her body's healed, but she couldn't heal her body for the life of her until she went to counseling. Now her body's healed and she's working again. She's working from home permanently, but she's not permanently disabled with her back from that. So I truly believe, because I was like, you got to do some yoga and some breathing exercises and get some counseling. And she did that. And, she's healthy again. She's fit again, and she's fine. Mentally is the most important thing, right? Because people always, like I said, judge success and say, well, if that person's got success, they must be mentally healthy. Well, they're hot as hell, so they must be super popular and rich and have a lot of friends, right?
But what's the relationship to yourself like? Like that's what I'm getting at, I think, with my entire message too, is through weightlifting and nutrition and how we relate to things, it's always healthier when you have that like connection as healthy one to yourself. Yeah.
Self-love should be a goal. So in closing, nutrition can make, like you said in your philosophy, can make such a huge positive difference, more than most people think, right? Because go balls to the wall with the weights. So I want you to briefly talk about the coaching services you offer, and like I said, what are some tips or recommendations, and what people should look for in a nutritionist and expect once they sign up for the program with you, and that process and that journey, and when to walk away from nutrition, which is important because some of them are toxic in the things that they teach with eating disorder, right? That does happen. And understand the differences between sports nutrition and regular nutrition, like generalized nutrition. And you know, when they're booking and working with a nutritionist, what are the expectations? What should they want from a nutritionist? Goals, right? Because it's a relationship, right? It's a partnership.
It is. Yeah. And I actually think the rise of nutrition coaching is a really positive thing nowadays. Some people say, oh, the market is oversaturated. No, that's a good thing, because everyone, I think, could benefit from having nutrition coaching. And you should align with your coach. You should feel like you can vibe with them, you can trust them, you can talk to them. And not everyone is a good energetic match, and that's okay. You know, not different every person out. Different personality types, different just ways of coaching. You know, if you're more of like tough love, if you're very compassionate, or if you blend those very well. So, but if you're looking for coaching, I think it's very important to sit down and actually like sit with yourself and figure out what you expect and figure out what you want in a coach, and do research on your potential coach and figure out what they're all about. What is their philosophy? Because your philosophy should align. And it's okay to ask a coach what they're all about. It's okay to ask them what their credentials are. It should be this working relationship that's healthy, right? So communication is best. Second thing, you mentioned how to know when it's going toxic.
Yeah, like respect, like it has to be a respectful relationship, right?
I mean, I think that should be something that's done in the beginning too, is there still is, sometimes I'm in my own little echo chamber, right? And I forget that there's still really bad coaching out there. Straight up, there's still people who are putting people on 900 calorie diets. So if you're looking for coaching, you also need to ask if this coach is providing a service that is flexible, that is sustainable, that is healthy mentally and physically. If it's something that you can see yourself doing for a long period of time, right? Like some diets I tried in the past, I don't know, cabbage soup diet or something stupid.
I did that too. Oh man,
who's gonna do that forever though, right?
Oh, pure juicing diet. Oh my god, the things I've done to my body. Like
yeah. I hear me too. So it's figuring out, doing a little bit of research before, figuring to see if you align. And I mean, stay away from fad diets. That's my biggest thing, is like, I hope that we can get to a place where fad diets are a thing of the past, because that is still the root of like the issue and toxicity in our diet culture. So figuring out all that stuff. And then with my coaching services, I'm offering one-on-one right now. Later this year, I might be doing a group-based program. But at this time, I'm just trying to really strengthen my one-on-one program. And I have a few different offers, because it's very important to me to meet people where they're at financially. So I have a tiered program basically. And
I like that. I've always done that with my business too, all the time. Like if someone was to reach out to me in the store and say, listen, I really love this stuff, and you know, I'm on a really tight budget, I'd be like, I'll hook you up, man. I'll fucking hook you up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've always done that. People, you know, at charity, I'm like, I will, to the day I die, offer tiered services if I can, for sure.
And it's still not like very cheap. But that's the thing, is I know that coaching is a luxury, but that's why I do things like I'll run free challenges, I'll open up a Facebook group and do, you know, webinars and Q&As, and people can get as much non-individualized coaching from me as possible when they enter my Facebook group. And then once they are ready and willing to work on their own nutrition, they can sign up for one of my tiered programs. And the price is just reflected based on how much energy we're both putting into it. So like, how much contact do you have?
Yeah, because you never know. I know exactly what you're talking about. So you never know how much hours of time. It's totally dependent on the client. It's the same thing with personal training. I totally understand where you're going with that. So it makes sense. I think more things need to be modeled that way.
Yeah.
You know?
And so it truly is an individualized process. I prefer, and I like a flexible nutrition approach where we track macros. But if someone is like, hey, I don't want to track, I don't force them to track. We figure out a way to eat healthier and meet your goals in a way that suits you best. Most of my clients will track because it is precise. It's a really good way to get to know what's in your food and a good way to understand energy balance. But it provides you a framework for healthy portioning, and tracking is never meant to be like, I'm talking about tracking macros, is never meant to be done forever. But it gives you the confidence to eat better when you're not tracking anymore.
But also, I think if you do it the right way with the right mindset going in, is like, it stops disordered eating, because you get to a point where you memorize it and then you don't have to think about it anymore. It's kind of like weighing, and you're like, okay, I know if I eat this, I need to eat this for this type of exercise, for the kind of energy output I have for today. I know I need to eat at this time before workout, otherwise it's going to be indigest, right? Like, so it becomes just like, you don't have to think about it so much. And then it like, you've developed a health relationship by default, because it's made you feel better and it's brought that control, peace, and security to a certain extent. So I think it's done healthily, yes, for sure, 100%. I think it's very important, because then you understand sports science and how it affects like your training. I think everyone needs to learn that, regardless if you become a pro strength athlete. You're just like, lifting barbells, like I said, or dumbbells in the gym. Like, you need to. A lot of people undereat calories. That is the thing. Oh no, everyone's fat. No, I'm like,
no. So many people need to be eating more. Majority of my clients.
Well, like you said, definitely. And the social media people who have kind of gone away with it, because they're starting to change the laws on that and legalities, where you have to get online insurance now as an instructor, but offering these diet plans without the proper training, or just having literally websites that can encourage anorexia. It's crazy, but this stuff does exist. Trying to crack down on that stuff a little bit. But 100%. I couldn't agree with anything you said, even more. But like you said, I think the last thing with the philosophy is embracing the stuff. Like, once again, there's no such thing as a perfect process or perfect journey. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a journey. So just go with the flow. Like, let it go when you can, and like you know what I mean, the shame, the guilt, the negativity. And just keep pushing forward. There's many times where I've really struggled with someone's opinion in the gym. And that's, I would say for me is, I think about how that's going to affect my sons if I'm talking like that around them and behaving like that, and that perfectionism. So I'm a little bit more aware of it now, but I just want to be a good mom. So for me, that's good enough, and be a healthy spouse, mentally and physically, sexually too, right? Like, I mean, your sexual health is important, especially for women. You always hear about like, guys just want to bang, and no one ever talks about like the relationship with food for women, and being physically fit and lifting weights, and how that's so important for your pelvic floor and your reproductive system. There's a lot of women that are actually developing, I know we got to go, but developing, like I said, reproductive issues because of dieting. And there's a lot of people who have permanent metabolic disorders from fad dieting for some years. So we need to stop doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Science, like I said before, science is in. So like I said, if you want to get in touch with Paige, all of her information's on our Facebook event page, on the YT channel, in the comment section, in the description, and IG, of course. You can look her up. And her name is spelled, I think, Paige, right? Am I come out? Oh yeah, okay. Allert.
Yeah.
I pay attention in class. So check her out on Instagram. And she's she's just like a super down to earth person. She'll help you out. And feel free to leave any comments or questions on our YT channel, the Facebook event page. I'll make sure Paige gets it. She'll reach out to you and connect with you for sure, 100%. And it's January. We're here to support you with the show in any way we possibly can. Like I said, if you liked it, please give us a 5-star rating on whatever podcast platform you're listening in on, because we have it up everywhere. Like and share so as many women as possible can be helped. And let us know, other services that we can help you out with Paige and just in general with the show. We are here for you 100%. And our goal is to be inclusive and supporting to everyone, regardless of gender, age, disability, anything. We are here for you. So thank you again, Paige, for being on the show. It was an honor. You're amazing.
Thank you. It's been so fun.
It was fun. It's good to talk about the raw stuff. That's my favorite part, is because, like I said, is we all try to pretend we're hot shit all the time. And I think I think the healthiest thing about being a human is just be a human. It's okay to just be a human. This year, just be a human, There's a lot of
and we're messy and complicated, and that's okay.
Yes. Yeah. Do you. That book, Wash Your Face. Oh, sorry, one more thing. And we were talking is that I watched it on YouTube last night, prep for the show. There's a girl that was putting out these cookbooks, and she's like Dan Schneider's wife, whatever her name is. Hungry Girl books, and then she kept lying to people or something, saying that the recipes were super healthy, low calorie. They just like mix them up a bit. So I feel like there's this trend of being like a mad scientist with recipes all the time. It's like nutrition is nutrition, okay? The foundations haven't changed. Adapted to your sports training goals, but like you don't have to be crazy insanely with all these different stuff. Like I do take supplements, I support supplements, and I'm a sponsored athlete, but you don't have to go crazy with the supplements. You don't have to do a like a science experiment with your food. Like it doesn't have to be complicated and crazy and always Instagram worthy to be functional and healthy for you, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Like
simple is best.
Cut out the complication, and that's the way you find success. Thanks again for being on the show. We'll see you guys on the next show. You got to listen to. We have Ashley Judge. I just call her Jujube at this point. She's the owner of Muscle Pirates. She's amazing, and she has 2 programs available, which is like learning how to do social media properly as an athlete, and also how to get sponsored. She's an incredible coach, strength coach. She's a strongman athlete. She obviously
and in closing, a few little quick tips from Paige Elizabeth Coaching. Check it out.
We tell you what you thought about Paige. Have a great day. See you on the next episode.